Carly Gum is a YouTuber who learned the hard way what happens when you stick your tongue to a pole in freezing weather. Eventually, she is able to rip her tongue away from the surface, leaving a red stain behind. I hope she is okay, but I wouldn't be surprised if her tongue needs medical attention by the end. As this YouTuber zeroes in on the school, you can see the damage this recent fire caused. Windows are busted out, cinder blocks are strewn all over, black fumes continue to billow from the rooftop, and when the YouTuber rounds the school, you can see the building is still on fire. Ironically, the school sign at the front reads, "Thanks for the memories." This fire occurred at General William Harrison Preparatory School in Lake City, Washington in January of 2016. It had just been announced that the school would be demolished. Still, firefighters couldn't let the flames ravage the place. They were called to put out the blaze, which they set out to do. Stationed around the building, they were ordered to take the fire down from the outside, and it wasn't worth the risk to send any of the crew in due to the building's upcoming demolition. The fire continued as a controlled burn around noon on Monday, 13 hours after the fire was first reported, with firefighters monitoring the situation. West Pierce Fire and Rescue Battalion Chief Pat McNeely said that the fire originated at the east side of the school and spread throughout the whole building, gutting it completely. Who started the fire hasn't been solved, but the YouTuber does claim that one of the firefighters told him that this was not an intentional fire. When there's something angry in your home, it will make its presence known. Published to YouTube by Lainey and Ben in June of 2021, this short scary clip shows their haunted house in action yet again. Lainey is making breakfast and walks over to set the dishes on the table, but the moment she turns her back to the cupboard, it swings wide open and a bottle of ketchup is expelled from it. Lainey catches a glimpse of the paranormal activity, and although she still appears a bit shocked, it's clear she's seen this sort of stuff before. She simply calls out for Ben and then calmly leaves the kitchen.
Ben?
Is the spirit just reminding Lainey not to forget the ketchup, or is this a forewarning because a red liquid condiment seems a bit too on the nose? Tell us your theory. What is this Poltergeist After? If you've ever been in a school at night, you know how creepy the dark, empty halls can be. Well, this school takes the hair standing on end to another level. Published to YouTube by Tubba Rubba in January of 2016. This scary video shows security footage via a video monitor which was captured at the apparently haunted Folk High School in Arkansas. A janitor's cart sits in the entrance of a bathroom. A moment later, it starts to move slowly forward. It pauses for a minute and then rolls further, wheeling around the corner before launching fast across the hallway and then turning sharply to enter another room. According to Tubba Rubba, the janitor of the school weighed in on this haunted ordeal. He said that his cart is too heavy to have been pulled by a string. Moreover, no one was caught on camera entering or leaving the bathroom before or after the creepy incident. So I guess we can assume the school bathroom is haunted. By folks' version of moaning Myrtle, better steer clear before she drowns you in her tears. A picture is worth 1,000 words, but the only word to describe this one is fear, 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 fear. This photo, at first glance, appears to just be your average selfie, but zoom out and you'll see that the selfie girl isn't the only one in the picture. An apparition appears in the dark hallway behind her, looking very similar to the creepy girl from The Grudge. In a white shirt with long black hair dangling in front of her face, the figure is peering out in all her creepiness at the selfie in progress. Is she a predictor of misery to come? Or maybe creepy Grudge Girl is just photobombing in the freakiest fashion ever? YouTuber Steven G faced a very common fear in this video. Someone secretly living in their house. He says that a couple years ago, he discovered a person living in his basement, in a closet under a table and a pile of bicycles. Surprisingly, the squatter had been living there for 3 months without ever being detected. Well, already this is creepy enough, but wait, it gets even creepier. Steve leads viewers from the front door of what appears to be an apartment building to his apartment, showing viewers where a stairway leads upstairs to the second and third floors. There is a random door to the side of this stairway with a window above. He notes that the door doesn't have a knob. He said that he just noticed the window yesterday, even though he's been living in this building for 3 years. So naturally, he broke in, unlocking the window for a search, and what he found was pretty terrifying. A makeshift bed appears in this random storage closet. The bed is a simple pile of blankets and a pillow, situated on a mezzanine of sorts that sits above the below door. There are also boxes in the corner and what appears to be a key laying off to the side. In part 2 of the video series, Steve manages to loop what he thinks is a key with a ski pole, but discovers it's just a keychain. In part 4 of the video series, as some YouTube comments duly note, the sheets that were originally on the bed are now folded and set on top of it. Other YouTubers note a clownish looking face appears in the bottom right hand corner of the window towards the end of the video. Yikes. Steve also says that he confronted the landlord about the space, which is obviously being lived in, and the landlord made a joke about it, saying that when he gets in a fight with his wife, he lays low in this secret room. I don't know what's creepier, a secret squatter or a landlord using this space for his own man cave in your home. This scary rando Nautica is brought to you by YouTuber CJ Faison. While in Las Vegas, CJ ventured out to the random location he was sent to by the app. The rando Nautica takes CJ and his crew into the middle of the desert, where they discover a photo of CJ taken with some female fans at the Mirage Hotel from 2014.
I'm literally shaking. I have chills up and down my body.
We've got nothing all day long.
Look at that.
We've been struggling. What was that?
Yo! That's a picture of me!
Yeah.
CJ says that one of the girls in the photo is named Julia. Alongside the photo is a note that includes CJ's full name and some other personal information.
The dark-haired girl in the middle, I met her in 2000, and I believe it was 2013, when I was racing in NASCAR at Richmond International Speedway.
Nearby, they also discover a wallet with some random stuff in it, including a room key for the Luxor, which is where CJ is staying.
Makes sense because we're in Vegas. There's another Luxor room key.
Oh, dude. I'm staying at the f***ing Luxor.
As they ponder this mystery in the desert, a couple of cars pass by and a girl shouts out at them, "Rando Nautica video boys, come on." Is it Julia? A YouTuber recalls another video that CJ shot where he's reading texts about him from Aaron Valentino. The YouTuber notes that these texts mention the year 2014.
Very well that you have stumbled upon this phone. I know many things about you. I know that you wish you could change some things that happened to your life in 2014.
The same year listed on Julia's picture, as well as the quote that CJ read on the back of the photograph. The quote was, "The ones who aren't afraid control life itself," which is a quote from infamous Richard Ramirez, aka the Night Stalker. Yikes. Later, the crew notices something off in the distance watching them.
Hold on, give me a sec. Let me zoom out first. It's right there.
Oh.
Person. Can you record that for the video?
Did someone plant this stuff here? Is that someone watching the group across several rando Nauticas from Pocomoke Forest in Maryland to the desert outside of Las Vegas, Nevada? Several YouTubers in the comments think this crew is being tracked or their phones have been hacked into. Perhaps these rando Nauticas aren't so random after all. Have you ever felt like something was watching you? Rocky Mills published this video in May of 2018 writing, "I thought there might be a squatter in the house I was working on, but I caught something far different on camera." He was remodeling a home built in the early 1900s when he set up his camera to catch the so-called squatter. But what he found while wandering through the house was not at all what he expected. Rocky wanders through the house making the rounds, shouting hello to alert whoever is in the house, but as he keeps turning corners, nothing and no one makes an appearance. That is, until up ahead a door slowly opens.
Hello?
Rocky hurries over and slams the door open wider, hoping to catch the squatter, but there's no one in the room. As he turns back towards the door to the basement, which hangs ajar, it slams shut with great force. He races over and swings it open, but again there's no one. The lights from the basement, however, start flickering on and off, causing Rocky to drop his camera and race out of there. The footage caught when the camera was left on the floor is even creepier than what Rocky captured himself. The camera is shoved by something taking a quick turn, then it starts spinning like mad. About 30 seconds later, Rocky returns to retrieve his camera and gets the heck out of there again. What is this? Whatever it might be, I highly doubt it's anything good. There seems to be many surprises for new renters or homeowners in these clips. YouTuber Dempsey7 also recently moved into this apartment. He said he rented the place without viewing it because it looked nice and the rent was low, but when he got there, he realized why it was so cheap. There are really high ceilings like a 19th century monastery in the middle of England, he said. He then takes viewers on a tour through the apartment. There are mirrors all over. All of this is nothing compared to what he found just outside the bathroom. Carved into the floorboards, you can clearly see a hatch in the floor, kitted out with a handle. Dempsey7 says he figured it was a bit of underground storage. He lifts the lid up, and it does appear to be a storage space, that is, until you look beyond the surface and see that the space expands below pretty deeply. Dempsey7 guides viewers down stone stairs that lead into what he calls a dungeon. There's a corridor heading off ahead, lots of stones and discarded brick and wiring. There is a room to the right, directly below Dempsey7's apartment. On the wall is graffiti that reads, "CCFC OK," judging from the flooring. Dempsey7 believes it used to be a burial ground. He heads down the corridor. Most of the dungeon is piled with rubbish, dirt, and old brick. He finds a newspaper dating back to 1984. He finds what looks like an old front door. Did someone used to live here? Or perhaps the house was built over an older existing foundation? Whatever the case, a dungeon is one secret room I wouldn't want to find in my new home. YouTuber This Is Dan Bell explored a creepy apocalyptic looking hospital in May of 2016. The hospital in question must have been a Christian hospital, as there is a cross on the front of the building. From the outside looking in, the place does live up to its title. The windows are darkened, and it's clearly empty and in disrepair. Upon entering, Dan finds a storage room filled with broken chairs. The room alongside it is covered in garbage and remnants of the past. Closer inspection of the garbage that lines the floor shows that this place was a dumping ground for needles, or perhaps it is still used as one. Hypodermic needles completely cover one section of the floor, an enormous stockpile of them. As they explore the place further, they run into that singular image of a single wheelchair in a dark hallway that we've seen so much on this list, and in another hallway a single stretcher. This time though, neither moves. Perhaps this hospital isn't haunted like the others, which is strange because it looks like a ghost's prime haunting grounds. The exploration does turn up other interesting things as well. but it's mainly a series of long, dark, scary hallways and rooms strewn with filth, much like what you'd expect an apocalyptic hospital to look like. YouTuber Renoa Super Genius has something random to share. A random secret door hidden in a closet. She says that this door leads to the crawl space under the house, and nice cool air always flows from the crack in the door. Since it's getting a bit hot in the house, and with no airflow, the YouTuber decides to open the crawl space door, not only to cool the room, but to inspect, or mine as she puts it, the underground. After prying the crawl space up with a screwdriver, the YouTuber spans the area with a camera, and viewers see a whole lot of dirt, wires, and the structural foundation of the home. Not an unusual discovery below deck. When she descends down under, the YouTuber finds cables that don't connect to anything. As the exploration underground continues, she finds an old penny from 1951. One YouTuber in the comments, Kiji Hu, notes, "Don't they put pennies in places like this to ward off evil spirits?" In fact, it's true that some superstitious beliefs suggest that copper protects homes from evil spirits and the evil eye. Copper is also believed by some to draw good fortune, which is one possible reason why this YouTuber found a penny beneath the home. While crawl spaces beneath homes are not uncommon, most don't go exploring them, so you can imagine what secrets might be hidden under so many homes across the world. This pirate treasure was planted for YouTuber the Pucka Pucka's 6-year-old daughter. She was wanting some pocket money, so she reluctantly sent to clean out the old unused window box. Little did she know she would find a treasure map amongst the old brass, the YouTuber writes. The map leads to a secret room sealed upon her conception 7 years ago. While cleaning out the old window box, the young girl finds a load of old doorknobs and a secret map. The map shows that their house has a secret room. The father takes her into the hallway, tells her to place the map on the ground in the same orientation as the home, and asks her why they must go to find the secret room. They wind up in the girl's room. She says it would be weird if there was a hidden door in her own room. She starts pounding on the wall and notes that it sounds hard, not hollow. The father joins in and says it sounds hollow in one part of the wall. They decide to cut the wall, as there might be treasure and lots of money, like $150,000, so they could go to Disneyland. As the girl suggests, they cut open the wall and do in fact find the secret room. At first, the girl assumes there's nothing in it, but at the far end of the room, a small silver treasure chest sits. Inside are necklaces, jewelry, and doubloons. What a great way to send your child on an adventure. YouTuber Chad Miller found a secret room in the attic of his house. "You don't see this every day," he writes. "You certainly don't." It looks like Chad is just moving into a new house, and now the fun begins. It's time to explore it. Inside a closet, he finds a ladder-like stairwell leading into a secret hidden room. As he crawls in, you find that it doesn't look like any old attic, unfinished with cobwebs and stacked with unruly odds and ends. Instead, the attic looks well finished with wooden walls, light fixtures, and a nice clean space. It's like a sauna but air conditioned, Chad says. It does in fact look like a sauna. The room is rather large, with all wooden walls and even a couple of wooden benches. What was this super secret room used for? We can only guess. All I know is that I wouldn't mind finding this secret room in my new home. What happens when the truth can't be found and footage cannot be simply explained? Published by Luke Jones in November of 2013. This video may just reveal a real-life Savannah Vampire. Jones writes, "Was reviewing the CCTV and couldn't believe my eyes. Had to put it on YouTube." The video clip shows a few customers in a flip-flop shop in Savannah, Georgia. On one wall, a mirror is mounted for customers to check out their style in flops. You can see a female customer reflected in the mirror as she sits on a nearby bench texting, and you can see a male customer perusing flip-flops beside her. One man passes by the mirror and is accurately reflected. A short while later, another man dressed in all black passes by the mirror as well, only this time, no reflection.
Wait, I know. What? I know. Like, how is that? I don't know.
The male and female customers are still reflected properly in the mirror, but the men dressed in black, nada. What is this wizardry? It could be unexplainable, and we may never know. Rancor Slayer begins his video of a bare white basement wall. He says he and his sister were playing down in this basement with Nerf guns when he was pushed against this wall, which sounded hollow. He said this surprised him because there's nothing there in the plans of the house. He takes a drill to the wall, cutting a little hole to take a look. He then pokes a screwdriver through to make the hole cleaner. He cuts through the wall, digs through the insulation and says, "There is something here, but what is that something?" He says he feels cold air there, so there must in fact be something beyond. He clears the insulation out of the way. There's a piece of plywood behind it, and when he pushes the plywood over, he finds an entire hidden room. The room is rather large but short, so he crouches while exploring the area. In the corner of the room, there's a briefcase covered by leaves. "This is what I was imagining would be in here," he says. Inside, he finds Canadian money, Pez dispensers, toys which he says appear to be from the 70s, an old coin purse with old coins inside, some colored pencils, a Burger King pin, and a hockey ribbon. Some claim the video is fake, but this YouTuber says that this must be a time capsule because some of the money is sealed. He says his family has lived in this house for 16 years now, and the room had remained hidden all this time. So what do you think, staged or not? You decide. Everyone likes a good bedtime story, but what if the entity who tucks you in is a ghost? A viral Reddit post appears to show this intriguing episode caught on webcam. Redditor Cheyenne Rochelle wrote, "My dad has been feeling his sheets being messed up with, and someone's sitting on his bed in the night, so he set up a camera. Look at the sheets lifting up and what comes out of the side of it. It like dissolves into thin air." The creepy footage does appear to reveal what Cheyenne describes, the ghost that's been haunting them. As Cheyenne's father sleeps, the sheets creep up at one corner. Then what appears to be the head of an apparition shows itself before vanishing. As the sheet drops back to the bed, those who believe are all in with a paranormal hook, line, and sinker, with one Redditor saying he might as well just go ahead and throw the whole house away. What do you think? Can you explain this? A few have tried on Reddit, but with nothing concrete, it remains unexplained. This leaked video was reportedly taken by two friends somewhere in the United States. Their dog Jake starts to bark with excitement and really doesn't seem to want to go any further. Watch how the animal crosses directly in front of their snowmobile multiple times, almost like he's warning them to stop and turn around. The two friends don't really think much of it and keep going straight, and that's when they come face to face with it. A nearby tall gray creature sends them racing away. The alien-like creature doesn't make much of a sound at all, or at least not one that the camera can pick up, but I do think I can see its head turn towards them at the 2-minute and 20-second mark. The way the dog is acting before this happens also makes me believe this leak video could be real. Vision seen by many is sometimes diagnosed as mass hysteria, but when it's caught on video, you cannot deny its existence. This video was published in February of 2012. The clip shows a group of people staring at the sun over the trees. At first, the camera appears to be just capturing the blazing sunlight, but as it focuses in, you can clearly see the shape of a woman within that blinding light. The clip, which has gone viral, was filmed in the Ivory Coast. The day prior to this apparition, locals had seen something which appeared to be a blue halo in the sky, a case that many thought was extraterrestrial. But when the apparition appeared using infrared technology, locals instead believed they were witnessing a miracle. Government officials tried to minimize the sighting, saying it was nothing, but some locals believe the apparition may simply be Mary casting her mercy and benevolence over the impoverished region. Whether you call this vision a miracle or not, coupled with the halo that is said to have appeared during the preceding days, these startling forms in the clouds are unexplainable. A YouTuber published this raw footage of the 7.1 quake in Mexico in 2017 that devastated Mexico City and the surrounding areas. The footage shows that commuters remain calm despite the subway and platform and everyone swaying around them. Some chose to get on the train, probably in order to sit down and stop feeling seasick from the swaying. The powerful quake hit Mexico City, where at least 361 people were reported passed away in the city and the surrounding areas. Nerve-wracking as the subway platform may be, I'd rather be there than in the chaos of collapsing buildings above. Jonathan Savo published this video in January 2015 after visiting his girlfriend in a Paris hospital. He wrote that a woman in the next bed was roaring and screeching with the voice of a devil, and that's what the video captures. The woman is seen lying flat in a bed, speaking in a raspy, evil voice. She is harassing the couple, calling them tacky and ugly, and telling them they're all going to die. Although you can only see her profile in the video, and you can't see her mouth moving, what you can see is her chest rising and falling as she delivers her angry tirade of insults and threats. She then says she's going to call her mafia friend, after which she claims she's going to remove her IV drip so they can get out of the hospital. That's where the clip ends, leaving us wondering if the woman did in fact try to escape, but John doesn't leave us hanging. In his own words, he wrote, "I was no longer filming when she or it started to get up and wanted to take the life of a person sitting next to her. 5 nurses came in to stop her, and we were asked to leave the room quickly. What happened next, John doesn't know. Prior to this experience, John says he was skeptical about demonic possessions and everything related to them, but after seeing one in the flesh, he's a believer." What would you think if you saw a wheelchair moving down an eerie, empty, poorly lit hospital corridor at night? You might think you've walked straight into a horror movie. That's probably what security for this hospital thought when they reviewed the security footage after some ghost was up to no good. In the footage, a wheelchair is parked near a wall at the end of the hallway, but slowly it starts to turn and begins to roll backwards around the corner. No one is pushing it and no one is sitting in it, so who or what is maneuvering the chair? And where are they going? Only the spirits lingering in this hospital know. While most hospitals have some stories to tell, I'm guessing a World War II hospital has even more grisly ones on the docket. In this video, published by Subi in November of 2017, he and his friends explore an abandoned World War II hospital in Milton Keynes. For some reason, they chose the dead of night for their exploration, so straight off the mark, the hospital looks scary simply because it's cloaked in darkness. The only guiding light is the beam from Subi's flashlight. The crew enters in through a broken window. The pair have apparently been in the hospital before because one of them says he's not going down a certain direction because that's where they hear things all the time. At one point they stop to listen because they both say they've heard something. It isn't clear what they've heard, but they continue on regardless. It sounds as if there's loads of glass on the ground as they walk through the building, cracking and breaking the shards beneath their boots. While the hospital doesn't turn up anything truly mind-blowing, the idea that World War II patients were once brought here conjures up images of scary times, or maybe that's just my imagination. YouTuber More Wolfie is staying at an Airbnb with some friends. In the rental, he's found a trapdoor which he promised viewers he would investigate. He says he doesn't know what's in it, but he wouldn't be surprised if there were raccoons or coyotes living there, as he's based in LA and they're not uncommon. He first politely knocks on the trapdoor, but unsurprisingly no one answers. Then he pulls the latch and opens the trapdoor. The phone's video goes blurry. A moment later, they open the door again with a clear video and a flashlight. The door reveals a big pile of dirt with a plastic bottle on top and the interior structure of the house walls. "I feel like there's rats and stuff in there," Wolfie says. The woman filming says it's probably haunted. Wolfie considers squeezing into the small space, but after hesitating a bit, he decides against it, suggesting there's probably spiders. He finally steps in and backs out again, explaining the small room appears to go much deeper into the underground of the house. In fact, it appears to be a tunnel. Where does it lead? To the underworld, possibly somewhere creepier than the tunnel itself. Wolfie hasn't explored the tunnel any further, so we don't know its destination. Any intrepid explorers here dare to take on the challenge. What happens when you're stuck at McDonald's during an earthquake? You record it, of course. When he quickly snapped up his Android phone to capture this crazy quake at the local McDonald's, taken at a location in California. In the video, you can see the overhanging lights shaking and swaying. The clip is short and to the point, but it reminds us that nature can and will attack anywhere and everywhere it pleases. While the front of a restaurant is running like clockwork, behind the scenes, things are heating up. That's what happened to Zach Burrell, who was working at McDonald's in 2011 when a grease fire occurred. He published his video of heroism in October of 2011, noting that it was him putting the grease fire out, and that he was poorly trained to do so. In the beginning of the video, you can see the flames spring up in the cooker. Then there's a mass panic in the kitchen, and workers start racing around, trying to figure out what to do. Every effort they make seems to throw heat on the flames, lighting it up more. Zach explains what happened. "First, I pulled the wrong mounted extinguisher, and the grill was covered in liquid. Then one of my crew members tried putting an oily lid on top of the vat to cut the oxygen off. It fell in sideways and the flames doubled. In the end, Zach grabbed a fire extinguisher to douse the flames, but not before the entire kitchen filled with smoke, leaving a dramatic scene that could have led to lives being lost. Pretty crazy," he writes, "but at least I saved the store." Andre Gennaro published this epic encounter between a drone and a motorbike in March of 2014. First off, I'm taking guesses on who comes out of the other side of this incident unscathed. The biker and the drone meet just as he takes his motorbike off a jump. At top speed, the bike collides with the drone, and then all you see is the aftermath. When the drone's operator picks up his aircraft, you can see the biker laying on the ground, apparently the worse for wear of the pair. We're guessing the biker's injuries were not dire, as the drone's operator is seen laughing off the incident. Just goes to show that these fun, high-flying devices can be dangerous when in the wrong hands. This video, published by Chop Levia in April of 2015, will demonstrate why it's not wise to mess with farmers. Chop Levia wrote, "Always be sure to ask for permission before flying over someone's property. Found out the hard way what happens." He went on to say that the drone wasn't police evidence, and they were going to court over the incident. This isn't the first time nor the last that drones have become entangled in controversy over privacy issues, property rights, and the right to self-defense. The question remains, do you have the right to take down a drone if it is hovering over your property? One man found out the hard way that laws haven't caught up with technology quite yet when he fired at a drone and took it down in his own backyard. What do you think? Was this man justified in taking down this invasive drone? when a drone drifted over the residential area in Overland Park. 2 boys on bikes spotted it overhead, and that's when they jumped off their bikes to have a go at it. You can see one of the kids pick up something, which is presumably a rock, in order to ready, aim, and fire at the drone, but it's much too high to actually knock it down. The kids follow it for a while, but don't come close enough to truly threaten it, although they do make a valiant effort to do so, chucking a rock or two its way. Eventually they give up, but the drone doesn't. It continues to follow them for a good 8 minutes, with the boys getting fed up enough every now and then to stop and throw more rocks. Certainly a scary encounter for both parties involved. Published by Scott Walters in February of 2015, this video again shows that drones over common land or private property are an annoyance to most and a threat to others. Walters explains the precursor to the man's anger in his description. Guy started yelling at me, asked if I had a permit to fly at a kid's park. I asked if he was joking. He said he wasn't, so I told him I needed to land. This is where the video started. After asking again if the operator has a permit to be on a children's playground, the man pushes the drone out of his face. He and the operator exchange words, with the operator telling the man to mind his own business.
Don't touch my stuff. Do you have a permit to be on a children's playground? You don't need one. Get out of my face. You're the one who got in my face, dude. You're in front of my shit. Look, we just walked over here. I understand. Mind your own business. Don't come question anybody about their stuff.
And the man stating that they're on public property. The argument quickly escalates as anger takes hold. Even as the man turns to leave with his child, the operator continues to shout at him. Those on the aggressive man's side, like Demo Man, said rightly that the drone operator could be liable if his aircraft fell down or flew into a child's head, and others noted that the man was leaving, while the drone operator continued to yell and provoke. Those on the operator's side, like Eric Mendez, said that no one is entitled to privacy in the public domain, while others noted that drone operators are often attacked for something that's just a hobby. Whose side are you on? In this seriously frightening video, you see a diver being swept away by the undertow. The undertow is the average undercurrent, which is moving offshore when waves are approaching shore. According to Wikipedia, undertow is a necessary and universal feature. It is a return flow compensating for the onshore directed average transport of water by the waves in the zone above the wave throws, compensating for the onshore directed average transport of water by the waves in the zone above the wave troughs. In this case, undertow can happen anywhere near the shore at any time, so it's important that divers like this one are aware of their surroundings, wouldn't want to get bashed into something due to the force of the undertow. YouTuber DealMyD often goes diving and posts his findings on YouTube, but this one prompted him to call the police. The channel's uploader, Jake from Columbus, Georgia, posted the video on December 29th, 2016. When Jake dives the Columbus rivers, he usually discovers a treasure trove of sunglasses, fishing gear, and cameras. Once he even found an iPhone which was still operating, and he attempted to return it to its owner. But this day, he would discover something more. The seemingly innocent dive turned up a possible murder weapon, a pistol, which he deemed a one-of-a-kind find, and almost as cool as finding a GoPro. He also said it was most definitely a murder weapon, and wondered if he should turn it into the police. Of course he should, and he did. When the police arrived, Jake gave them the gun. The officer said, "I know for sure we won't be able to get any fingerprints off the gun, but we'll take it back, try and run the serial number, and find out if it's stolen or anything like that." Jake admitted that he would have rather kept the gun because it was a special find in the river. But in the end, the police would probably get more use out of it, especially if it had been involved in a crime. Who knew diving might help solve a murder mystery? A tsunami often happens when an earthquake or a volcanic eruption occurs underwater. The resulting seismic waves may hit coastal cities and destroy whole buildings, taking with them many victims. Remember that giant wall of water that hit Japan in 2011, resulting in nearly 16,000 people passing away? That was a tsunami. So who'd be crazy enough to dive when there's a chance of a tsunami? Turns out these folks on a video uploaded by Andrew Chan. One survivor of the 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami told his story to Aret's online magazine. Yossi Hassan said he was thrown back all of a sudden and described the scene as follows. It's difficult to explain the feeling underwater. Imagine running at full speed against the wind and still being pushed back against an enormous invisible force that is simply impossible to overcome, he said. As he was being pulled back to the surface, he looked for his girlfriend, who hadn't been able to traverse the coral walls before the tsunami hit. Instead, she was caught hold of a cable that was tied to a buoy because she knew what she had to avoid, ascending too quickly lest she suffer the bends, he said. The good thing is, tsunamis aren't impossible to predict. They often accompany earthquakes. If the diver's in the spinning current, they're likely to feel as these divers did in the video, like rag dolls being tossed in a washing machine. Recorded by Jan Paul Rodriguez in a resort area of the Philippines near Manila, earthquakes rocked the island in 2017, and afterwards the aftershocks terrorized the land. A 5.6 magnitude earthquake struck, followed by a 6.0 magnitude, which forced many to flee their homes. The mayor of Mabini, Noel Luistro, said, "Our tourists left out of fear. They may be affected by the earthquakes. I need to declare a state of calamity." This was at the beginning of the summer travel season in the Philippines. Many feared a tsunami would follow as the villagers rushed to find higher ground, while others, including divers, swam in the sea as the earthquake struck. This video shows the truly scary impact of an earthquake under the sea. Reportedly, the first earthquake struck at a depth of 27 kilometers and the second at 24. This isn't the Philippines' first earthquake, and neither will it be the last. The islands sit on the Pacific Ring of Fire, known for its volcanic eruptions and not infrequent earthquakes. In 1990, a 7.7 magnitude quake struck the northern Philippine island, Luzon, taking the lives of almost 2,000 people. This video is visual proof of the destructive magnitude of nature underwater. When Soda Paps bikes down Bulldog Trail in South Dakota's Black Hills with his GoPro mounted, he probably wasn't expecting it to almost cost him his life. This video, published in May of 2012, shows the rocky dirt trail beneath his tires, sometimes surrounded by tunnels, other times trailing beneath old wood bridges. Just as the bicyclist meanders over a little bridge between a gate, the rattler attacks. He's easy to miss as he blends in with the sand, but Soda Paps aims his GoPro down to get a good shot of the slithering serpent. He notes in the comments, "Yes, I was wearing the helmet and leaned in real close to get this shot." The snake did bite me, but luckily I had a friend who sucked out the venom. Even though that was quite the scary situation for some GoPro footage, he doesn't regret it. He says it's one of the coolest bits of film he's caught on camera. You can't deny him that. If you're going to enter an abandoned hospital, you better have some patience, because you might just come across some squatters. Ruin Road published this footage in April of 2017, writing, "Sketchiest encounter yet." The footage was taken at United Community Hospital, an abandoned hospital in Detroit, Michigan. Even approaching the building is haunting. Regardless, the team heads inside, and it looks just about how you'd imagined it. Hollowed out graffiti on every surface, water dripping from who knows where. As they explore the abandoned hospital, they find graffiti with an arrow pointing down some stairs. They head down to find a long, creepy room, the morgue. But it isn't until later in their exploration that they shine their flashlight and camera into a room and hear a voice.
Hi.
It grunts and the YouTuber responds with a hi, and then quickly turns to leave. Their pace quickens to a double step and then a run, as whomever they just encountered seems to be in hot pursuit. We're getting out of here right now, the cameraman says. Downstairs and outside in the much less creepy light of day, the cameraman is called over by another man and given a lecture about how he's trespassing on this site. Apparently, the man who they'd run into on the second floor of the building was watching this exchange from above and yelled down to the man on the ground, "You're not supposed to be here either." The man on the ground, who claims to be a worker, then proceeds to offer the YouTuber a tour of the building for a little cash.
It'd be nice to tour, okay? We could get you some pictures or
Okay.
nice little whatever. And give us
Okay, I have my wallet in the car. I could go there.
The worker claims that they're redeveloping the building, knocking down walls, but keeping the steel frame intact. I'd have to agree with the consensus in the comments of this video that El Toro was not in fact a security guard or a worker. Imagine you were walking past an abandoned factory when you saw this. Edge Ninja published this terrifying video in March of 2017. Although it was recorded all the way back in 2013, Edge Ninja explains, the factory, as it was dubbed, had been an eerie fixture in our neighborhood since before my family even moved in. In 30 years, I never saw a single person or vehicle go in or out. The YouTuber walks around the building to confirm that the lights are flashing in multiple wings. Even creepier as Edge Ninja zooms in on a light in a stairwell near the end of the video. YouTuber Oreo the Wolf Fox points out a ghoulish image in the left window, what appears to be a face. Cue the shivers. This building is no longer abandoned. It was renovated and is now used as a factory for a watch company. One wonders if the new factory workers have crossed paths with this creepy figure in the window. Located in Bobcaygeon, Ontario, Canada, this abandoned house has got some hidden secrets, and they're secrets you don't want to know. Published by .do's Urban Exploration in April of 2013, the YouTuber writes, "So I am not a believer in the paranormal, ghosts, spirits, or that type of thing, but I do accept odd things happen from time to time. What happened yesterday has caused me to consider being a little more open-minded. So what happened yesterday?" He goes on to explain that the creepy abandoned house that they decided to explore sits about half a kilometer back from the road, alongside a barn and some other outlying buildings. The house appears boarded up, but after ducking under a boarded-in storage area of the house, the YouTuber soon discovered a way inside, an open door. Inside, household furnishings are scattered everywhere. As the camera swings around, a door to the right opens and then falls closed. It continues to move jarringly. A short time later, while the door is still moving and creaking, they shove through and find nothing on the other side. After entering another disheveled room, the camera swings round and appears as though they're considering heading upstairs to explore the second floor. But then the video cuts out and the pair are back outside the boarded up home. He explains that though the feeling and sounds likely don't translate to the viewer, they were incredibly frightening and loud, while creeping around the home, putting the YouTuber and his partner on edge. One of these sinister sounds was that of someone else walking inside the home, another something heavy being dragged over the floorboards. He also wrote that when they left, it felt like they were being followed. Watch and see if you feel the experience, or if this was a case of you just had to be there. Ghostly girls are enough to scare a pack of boys at night. Published by L. Kevin in November of 2017, the title in Spanish reads, A ghost girl gets out in Mexico's Pantheon. The video begins with a bunch of guys running off and shining a flashlight towards some trees. It's unclear what they've seen there, but they start shouting in Spanish over towards that area. One of them carries a large stick, likely as protection to use against whatever they saw there. As they continue to shout, the camera moves to one of the guys who's sitting on the ground, and when it turns back up again to the spot, there's a shadowy figure on the wall of the building. It appears to be a long-haired girl with her head tilted. They start walking away down a side road. Then one of them starts shouting and they all start running. Although it's unclear what they saw, whatever it was must have been frightening enough to hop a fence to escape. As E. Mendez in the video's comments wrote, "The one who searches finds." These boys found what they were looking for. I bet they won't dare search again. What's the creepiest thing that you've found on an urban exploration? I'm betting it's not creepier than what Explore Abandoned Places with Tattoo Tony Alton found in St. Louis. The YouTuber published this in February of 2017, writing, "We found part of a spinal column in the basement of this creepy abandoned house." The YouTuber goes on to say that the entire street is abandoned. No big surprise if it's scary and dangerous. Tattoo Tony says the houses here were built sometime between 1910 and 1916. As he enters the first building, you can see that it's completely tattered and dilapidated. The wallpaper is flaking from the walls. The ground is absolutely covered in debris and filth. There's still furniture left over in some of the upstairs rooms. It looks as though whoever lived in these homes just up and left one day, leaving everything behind. As he walks through the building, you can hear wind whipping through the place, so it's understandable why the ceilings and all the walls are flaking. But it's when Tony heads into the basement that things get really chilling. Here, he comes across part of a spinal column. Some in the comments debate whether it was from an animal or a human. Whatever the species, Tony wrote, "It was a little spooky. Urban exploration can have its risks." The question is now, what is the story behind the spinal column? In this video published by Urban Exploration in August of 2016, you can see a man in a black hoodie standing very still outside some near steps. Looking down through the uploader's window, the creep appears frozen there. The video describes what happened. "For the past 4 days, I have seen a man standing in front of my building, wearing a black hoodie, looking through the windows of my apartment. This video is proof, as my friends and family don't believe me." This was recorded on August 22nd, 2016 at around 3 a.m. After a minute or so of footage of this creep standing there, the YouTuber races out of the room, down the stairs, into the area to investigate. Only there's no one there when he arrives. The camera scans around, but the stalker is not in sight. Was he lurking in some nearby bushes? We can only guess. This one is The Thing Nightmares Are Made Of, published in October of 2014. The footage begins with a vehicle driving down a dark road at night. After a bit of driving, he comes across a vehicle with its emergency brakes on in the middle of the road. The driver goes around this vehicle, but not much further. He has to slow down again, as there's a man with a baby stroller wandering down the road. He comes closer and closer. For some reason, the driver starts laughing. He puts the car into reverse. I'm not sure if laughing would be my first reaction, or any reaction for that matter, but he keeps backing up slowly, as the man with his baby stroller continues to pursue. Then he starts running at them. He's closing in, but the driver starts reversing faster. Finally, he loses the creep, as everyone in the comments section of this video is asking, why? Why is this man pushing a baby stroller? Why down the middle of the road? Why late at night? Some in the comments were also a bit concerned. Savannah Rose wrote, "What if he had a kid in there?" Well, John Garza posted a theory. They are trying to rob you. Seen this in Corpus Christi, Texas. Whether this baby stroller man was trying to rob anyone or not, one thing's for certain, he should get another tactic.
I'm being followed.
Have you ever got the feeling that you were being followed? What if it were true? A YouTuber published this video of his experience being stalked in Japan in February of 2011. In the video, he explains that when he turned on his camera, this female stalker became interested in what he was up to, so she started following him. Despite his rather roundabout route, which he was using to try and lose her, you can see the woman over his shoulder, dressed all in black in a long coat with very pale skin. To make matters scarier, it's raining. The gloominess results in heightened fear. So what is this woman doing? Why is she following some random stranger in the street? Some even speculated that this man was in serious danger. Whoever she is, I'd get out of there, and fast. This list is full of stalkers, and they all seem to have one thing in common. They like to stand still outside people's homes, especially after receiving a note that said, "I'll see you here after 6 p.m. Remember, Mr. Slim." A few hours later, he heard someone or something outside his house. Camera in tow, he peered out his upper window. There was a man standing on the sidewalk below, wearing dark colors and what appeared to be a ski mask. As the boy dropped his camera to the left and then returned again back to the stalker, he found that the man had disappeared. So he did exactly what none of us would do. He raced downstairs to go outside and find the stalker, but the man was nowhere to be found. The boy said that he was starting to get worried and debated whether or not to tell his parents. Most in the comment section agree that he should, while others offer more sage advice. Next time, don't go outside. If you've ever entered the grounds of an asylum at night, or any purportedly haunted territory, then you know what YouTubers, the proper people too, were feeling when they encountered this in the woods. Published in December of 2016, the footage shows the pair driving down a creepy dirt road surrounded by trees, with only their high beams to guide them. They're heading to an abandoned asylum to explore it at the scariest time of day. Once they get inside, it's clear that they weren't the first to explore this haunted place. There's tons of graffiti on the walls and remnants of past visitors. While they're exploring, one of the guys says he hears rustling. Then at one point when they film out the window, he claims to see someone standing in the trees. Although the person isn't clearly captured on camera, they decide to get a move on after that. But before they get in the car to leave, one of them sees a light. He calls out hello to no response. They agree it's too sketchy, being that whoever was out there wasn't responding.
There's no other car here.
He was on this side.
That was 100%.
That was a person. But he had a phone.
Why is there a person here?
The person could be laying in wait to rob them, so they jump in the vehicle to get the heck out of Dodge. Viewers gave their hot take on the video in the comments section. Viserys offered up some good advice, saying that if you're exploring a place like this and you discover that someone else is there, get out as soon as possible, making as little noise as possible. What happens when a child opens his mom's Camaro car door in a Target parking lot and it accidentally dings a guy's car? Well, things escalated quickly, and that's what happens. At least if you run into this unfortunate lady.
That he hit the car, didn't you? You said he hit the car, didn't you?
I did.
You did. Yeah. You did. So get on the phone and tell him that you said that he hit the car.
Jay Rios published this video in September of 2016 writing, "Her son accidentally dings my car. No big deal, but after I inform her of what had happened and requested insurance info, she proceeds to deny what happened and resorts to verbally attacking my wife and I in front of her 2 kids and my boy." And that appears to be exactly what's happening in this video. The woman is seen storming all over the parking lot. As the man's wife is on the phone to the police, she's screaming in the background, "They're lying." Amidst her rant, she asks her son to show her where he hit the car, and after she wanders off, her son does admit the door landed right here, while pointing out the dent on the man's car door. Jay Rios also updated the video descriptor to answer some questions for the audience. He tells us that despite the drama-filled 6 minutes of this video, the scene ended very anticlimactically. The cops arrived and gave him information on how to file a claim if need be at the auto body shop, but they didn't care about the video, even though he had a witness who confirmed that the crazy woman had struck him. He says he can't blame them, because the woman was still going off when they were there, and even resorted to telling the police off. After taking his vehicle to the shop a couple days later, the shop verified that the dent could be fixed with paintless dent repair for less than $100, a cost so low that he wasn't going to file a claim, especially since the woman's son told her the truth, and she just didn't want to hear it. Built in 1909, Bibb County Junior High School was more than a century old and was being renovated at the time of the fire to be used as office space. For the Bibb County School Board, a $50,000 renovation destroyed in less than an hour. The fire started at around 2 p.m. In an hour's time, the entire building was aflames. Luckily, everyone got out in time. When a dispatcher at the Centerville Fire Department was called, they said there was little hope in saving the building and damages were yet unknown. From the view of the cameraman, it looks pretty damaged to me. Thank you so much for getting me to 20,000 subscribers here on my Clips channel. If you want to support, please press that subscribe button. Let's get to 30,000 subscribers next. Thank you.